All right, guys, welcome to another video. As you notice, there's I got a webcam, so now you could actually put a face to the voice. It's a little distracting, so I'm not sure if I'm going to have this for every video, but I figure I'll at least use it for this one, mess around, and see what happens. Right, so today it's going to be, none of the videos I make are really that official. They're just my opinion. Right, today it's kind of my opinion on, I think, what I noticed with the meta. Some thoughts on investment for the future, speculating like the next generation of commanders, how it will fit into the current meta, and again, this is just my opinion. And full transparency, I don't have all of these commanders I'm talking about, and some of the ones I do have, they're not max yet. All right, I'm working on them, so take it with a grain of salt, and feel free to share your opinion in the comments so we can have a cool discourse, right? So first, the best pairing for each troop type right now. For Cavs, it's Nevsky, Joan. For Archer, right, Herman just came out literally 2 days ago. I think it's January 3rd right now. It's going to be Zhuge Liang and Herman in that order. And then the best pairing for Infantry is going to be Scipio and Luce. Which is crazy, because even as recently as I would say like a month and a half ago, I think the consensus is that when you get to Season of Conquest, you want to work on Nevsky and Joan. And I don't think that's true anymore, right? One of the reasons with Scipio, Luce, and then Zhuge Liang and Herman, they're both double AoE. And compared to that, the Nevsky Joan just seems to be lacking a little bit, right? And honestly, that was not the case 2 months ago, but that's the case now. And if you're new to Season of Conquest, where you have access to these commanders, I think the choice actually becomes between either the Infantry or the Archer, right? Zhuge Liang and Herman, in my opinion, have the two best debuffs in the game, right? Zhuge Liang hits 5 targets, and all 5 targets literally deal 15% less damage. And then Herman is spreading poison like crazy. I don't think there's another debuff that's as powerful as those two, and you literally have that combined in one march. I haven't used that march yet. I'm going to work on Herman soon, but not yet. But what it seems like is that march, as far as on a field fighting standpoint, it's going to trade really well, right? Just when you have a 3 target and a 5 target AoE, it's going to trade pretty well. And then a couple of the underrated things is, as there's poison all over the field, Herman becomes tankier, right? You take a lot less damage, and Zhuge Liang gives the health. Has 15% march speed, a little bit on the slow side, but probably fast enough, and there's other ways to compensate for it. It's going to be a really, really good march. Now, you contrast that with Scipio, Luce. There's more instant proc. I think you're just going to trade better. As far as benefiting everyone else in the field, it's not going to do as well, right? Luce slows 5 targets. I think, off the top of my head, I want to say 40%. And then Scipio has a 3 target health reduction debuff, right? And it's good. They're tanky. They're fast enough. And they're going to pump out a lot of damage. Probably more damage than the archers, but it's just a little less utility, right? So if you're just getting to Season of Conquest, or even, Season 3, Season of Conquest, right, where you have access to these commanders, your choice would be, hey, you know what, do I want the Infantry, where I just get better trades that could be more competitive, or do I want Archer, where you're probably going to get the most valuable march in the game as far as benefiting your murder ball when you have one, and then everyone else, right? Now, a distant third is Nevsky, Joan. Nevsky's, they're not bad, right? It's just compared to the Infantry and the Archer, one, you're dealing single target damage with Nevsky. His debuff is single target, and there's some support stuff on Joan, and that double skill proc is great. We're just pumping out damage, but it just doesn't quite compare, even 2 months later, compared to Nevsky Joan being pretty much the meta 2 months ago, right? So I would say, if you're not a very high spender where your gear and armaments are top notch, I'm leaning towards Scipio and Luce, just because you're not going to get targeted as much. the Zhuge Liang and Herman is going to be like target number one, right? If I see a ZL on the field, that is the number one target I'm going to go for, right? Even if it doesn't have a Herman behind it, it's still like just a must answer threat that's slightly squishy, doesn't move as fast, and letting that thing just do whatever it does on the field is just unacceptable. All right, so if you are newer to season 3 and season of Conquest, I would actually consider bypassing calves, right? Until the picture becomes a little bit more clear. And the other thing with calves, right? If you're just going to have one march, we don't know when the next calf cycle is going to come out. Herman was literally just released 2 days ago. Right now it's January 3rd. And the average time of release between new commanders is, I think, like 60 something days to like upwards of maybe closer to 90 days, right? So it's somewhere in that window. And right now there's no indication on whether calves are coming next or leadership is coming next. If leadership's coming next, you have a little bit more time before your current calves could potentially get cycled out. Whereas like if calves are coming next, I couldn't even tell you who to invest in next, right? Because you would think the last commander, HQ, was a single target damage. The one before Joan was 3 target AoE. And then the one before that with Nevsky is single target damage, right? So are we going to get a single target damage commander or a AoE commander? And then that commander that comes out, are they suitable to be a primary or a secondary? There is a very real scenario where the next cav commander that comes out, you might pair that commander with Joan and get like a double AoE, and Nevsky actually goes on the bench if you're just using one cav march, right? And if it is an AoE commander that maybe is also on the squishier side and you need to hide that commander behind Nevsky, then maybe you'll take Nevsky, right? And then you'll move Joan behind HQ. But regardless, when the best march for infantry and archer has double AoE, and the best march with cav has a single target and then an AoE, they're falling behind a little bit, right? And I don't think anyone's crying for cav mains or people that are heavy into cav, just because they've been dominant on the field for so long, and that march speed still makes a huge difference. So right, like even though I'm saying they're like lacking behind a little bit, it's really not too bad. As far as the second pair of that troop type, right? So best pair is Nevsky Joan, Herman, Zio Herman, and Scipio Luchet. The second best pair, no questions asked, with Cavs is HQ and William right now. All right, and honestly, I decided not to invest in HQ. I think Minamoto with the double relic is a poor man's version of HQ. I'm not arguing that it's that close, but Minamoto with a double relic is good enough to run as a primary for the second pair. And I'm actually just running a expertise Minamoto and William. And the reason why I wouldn't touch HQ right now is there's a real chance that he actually gets replaced by the next cav commander. Excuse me. So William is kind of this like forgotten commander that nobody talks about anymore. That's still really, really good. I'm not going to go over his skills, right? But he provides a lot of support for up to 5 targets. He does a 3 target AoE, right? He can do another, I want to say, like 1200 instant proc damage on top of it, or something like that. He has march speed. He provides some defense. He's very versatile and good. And I really see a scenario where, like, let's just say it's a new cav commander that comes out that will pair well with Joan. Then you just move the William behind Nevsky and then call it a day for the 2 marches. There's several scenarios where I can actually see HQ being left out. And if you haven't maxed him now, right, with a cav commander potentially coming out in the next 65 to 90 days, or maybe you have a little bit longer, like 300 something days, it's just not a smart investment in my opinion, unless you're getting so many sculptures where you can get away with it. where you could get away with it, then go for it, right? But if that's not you, where you're spending a heavy amount of money, where you can get like 400 sculptures a month or more, HQ is probably not for you at this point, right? Now, when it comes to the second pair for archers, haven't seen anything on Ashurbanipal. Think he's going to be really good. Probably a I mean, he's already a souped up version of Nebu, right? Probably better than YSG, but not as good as ZL. And then you're running Boudica, right? So the second march you're running is you're going to be Boudica, YSG, Boudica, Ashurbanipal, or those two as the second best march. The archer picture isn't as clear either, right? I don't think you're breaking Herman and ZL anytime soon, just because there's going to be another cycle that comes around. So Boudica would be somebody that I'm still okay working on now, but just know if we were closer to the next cycle of Archer coming out, there is also a very real world where maybe Ashurbanipal and the new Archer that comes out becomes the new second pair. Or it could be the new Archer and Herman if it's an AoE commander, and then maybe like ZL. I don't know. It's something where if you finish everything else and then you feel called to get a second Archer, you can still work on Boudica. I don't think Boudica is as in as dangerous of a place as HQ right now. Only because the new Archer was just released, but still at this point, I think like a single target commander, they're just really at risk. I think the meta is just going AoE, especially double AoE. And something I forgot to mention with HQ, his debuff is just single target speed reduction, right? And no AoE. It's like he's good. He provides a lot of stats, does a lot of damage, gets like a rage reduction, but at least like Boudica still has a 35% skill damage reduction. I just feel like she'll actually hold out a little bit longer. And then as far as the infantry, this is where it gets the most exciting, right? I think right now a very sound investment for the second infantry is going to be Guan. And Guan is someone where you can get buying dailies. And that's actually someone I would recommend looking into for dailies, right? Because if you think about it, for the infantry, with the new commander that comes out, and again, you know, infantry came out just for archer, so we still have a while. If you get another smite commander, that smite commander will probably pair really well with Luce, because Luce could be a primary or a secondary. And for a smite commander that doesn't do scale damage, the smite damage, the attack tree actually isn't that bad. So if you have a smite commander, you could pair that smite commander with Luce, and then Scipio could just go behind Guan. And it still irks me, or not irks me, it still sucks seeing the expertise on Scipio go to waste, right? Scipio gets rage 30% faster when the target's silence. And right now I'm running Scipio with Luce, so it feels like that the expertise is half going to waste. And then obviously Guan's expertise, he does extra skill damage with a shield, and that feels like it's kind of going to waste. And that's still a really good march, actually. For me, the ideal scenario for infantry is if a good smite commander comes out that I could pair with Luce, and then it's like a natural fit, Guan with Scipio. Right, but let's just say it's not a skill damage commander. It's another. I mean, it's not a smite damage commander. It's another skill damage commander. Right. That commander would actually probably still fit pretty well with Guan. A couple things Guan has going for him. Right. He has no defense, but he does have 15% march speed. I think it's 15%, and also he still has a 3-target AOE. That's slightly off the meta, but still like way more than good enough for a while. And he does silence, right? So let's just say the new infantry commander also does silence, right? Let's just say it's an AoE silence or not an AoE silence. If you pair him with Guan, you're going to get double AoE. Let's just say the new commander is required to be a primary, so you have to put Guan as a secondary, right? Cutting that damage in half, but having a 3-target AoE silence that gives you march speed behind it, is still actually probably going to be better than putting someone like Sargon, or at least good enough, right? I think at this point, it's pretty clear that Sargon is more on the chopping block than Guan. He's solid. On paper, his stats look good, but almost everyone I've actually ever talked to that used them or heard that have used them, there's just something lacking, right? Like you have to stay connected to the enemy. Yes, he's increasing skill damage with his like alt effect, but it just seems like if someone was to go first, it would actually be Sargon before Guan, and you can actually just start working on Guan in the dailies if you want. So if you are going to work on commanders in the dailies, right, I think William's is a good option, and I think Guan is a good option. Their damage is falling off a little bit, but there's enough utility there where like when the next commander comes out for that troop type, they'll be more than usable. They'll actually still be valuable to invest in them, and they could actually even be better than their counterpart, right? I think it's more likely that William is going to be more useful than HQ when the next Cav commander comes out, and I think I would probably still prefer Guan over Sargon when the next commander comes out. So quick recap of what I just talked about. If you don't have any of these commanders, I would recommend choosing between the archers or infantry. If you're a higher spender where your gear and your armaments are in a good place, maybe consider the archers, just because it'll allow you to be a little bit more tanky, even though you can get focused down a lot. And then if it's not, probably Scipio and Luce. It's just a really fun march to use. They're definitely a little bit faster, and it's very versatile, right? And then the third, if I had to pick between Joan and Nevsky, I would honestly probably lean towards Joan. I think Joan has a slightly better chance of being part of the best pair for Cavs and Nevsky at this point, mainly just because there is some utility there. She doesn't provide nearly as many stats, but she is a very, very good secondary commander. And if this new commander is single target or AoE, but can be a primary, I think Joan will probably be a better pair, right? And if you're not sure, honestly, you could always take the resources that you're investing into gold heads and commanders right now and just work on your equipment and iconic with the new iconic system and just the endless amount of resources it takes just to get really good armaments anyways. There's plenty of stuff to work on there while the Cavs picture becomes more clear. So I just rambled on for, I don't know, maybe like 20 minutes. Let me know what you guys think. Again, this is just my opinion, just kind of spitballing what I'm thinking. I'm sure people will feel different, and we can discuss in the comments. So hopefully you got something out of it. If you did, please like and subscribe the video, and I'll talk to you guys next time.